Bumblebee, this is from my son. Where were you? What were you doing? And who was the first person you told when you found out there was going to be a Bumblebee film?
A Bumblebee film? I just found out now because you told me that. That's not true. I heard about it a little while ago. I haven't told anybody because all this stuff slips my mind as soon as I hear it. But, you know, I mean, they're going to continue. Think of the Transformers as a cow. And they're going to keep milking it until it runs out of milk, man. There will be a Bumblebee film. There will be a this film. There will be a that film. And it's cool because people still dig it. So it's going to be fine. Plus, Bumblebee's a friend of mine. So good on him, you know. What else we got?
I mean, why do you think with Transformers, it's existed in different forms
Yeah.
for decades
Yeah.
now? Why is there that continued appetite from fans for it?
Because, you know, when you have an idea that's cool, like, you know, the idea of like driving down the street and thinking that any vehicle you pass could turn into a 60-foot robot and start kicking ass is pretty exciting. So, you know, we've seen time and time again in every form of show business that if an idea works once, it'll probably work again. So they're going to keep doing proliferations of it. You know, we're bringing back Animaniacs. We're doing new Animaniacs. It's like there's going to be, and that's great. I mean, as long as something worked, that's why they reboot stuff. That's why in 50 years there'll be Batman movies, and it doesn't matter who's wearing the suit. It's Batman. You know what I mean? And that's what's cool. So a good idea is a good idea. That's what I think.
If you, this is another one from my son.
Yeah.
If you were to spend one day on Cybertron, where would you go and what would you do?
Well, depends where the hot cyber chicks were. I would go there. And that's the first thing I do. And I try to find cyber food that wasn't totally disgusting or made of metal. That's so tell your son I said that. Even though I'm made of metal, so that's okay.
Before, you used to play in Animaniacs, and you know that was such a long time ago. And compared to the cartoons of nowadays, and so what do you think about cartoons nowadays? Do you think it holds up as much as they did with the old cartoons?
Well, you know, man, they're all different, you know, and it's like it depends what flavor of cartoons you're talking about. There's so many different styles of cartoons. There's adult cartoons, there's kiddie cartoons, there's, you know, with Animaniacs, Steven Spielberg wanted to do a throwback to Looney Tunes. He wanted to make it like a Looney Tunes for the 90s, and he did that. And when we do the new ones, they're going to try to make it Looney Tunes for the 2020s or whatever, which is great. But, you know, there's always been better cartoons. There were better cartoons in the 40s and worse cartoons in the 40s, and there'll be better cartoons in the 2100s and worse cartoons, you know. It's just a question of what flavor you do. And the nice thing is that working on as much stuff as I get to and as my friends get to, we get all these people coming up to us at Comicon saying, oh, I grew up with you because I watched Animaniacs. But now I'm on these shows like Doc McStuffins and Sophia the First that are very popular shows, and people go, oh, I'm growing up with that now. So in 20 years, if I'm still doing Comicons, they're going to go, oh, wow, I grew up with that. So the cool thing is that it's just like this wheel. And if you're really blessed, it keeps turning and you keep holding on to it and you do more shows and more movies and people like it. You know, so it's cool.
What do you credit to your kind of diversity in terms, as you're saying, you went from stuff like Animaniacs to Sophia the First.
Yeah.
What do you feel kind of differentiates those types of roles?
Well, you know, it's a good question, and it's basically comes down to being inordinately blessed and being really fortunate because there's so many talented people who can't get a break. So every day that I continue to work as much as I have, I'm like, hallelujah, it's amazing because there are so many talented people. So the fact that they keep hiring me is like, wow, really? You know, you realize you can get that guy who's available, man. But I'm really just stoked to do it. And I think that, you know, it's sort of like in voice acting, you're really only limited by the number of voices you can produce, right? So as long as you try to stay current, as long as you keep listening to voices and trying to get new voices and develop new characters, hopefully you're going to stay busy, you know. And it's like, voice acting is awesome because it's the only acting job in the world where you can show up at noon, work for 20 minutes and play the dad, the kid, and the dog and not have to change your clothes and not have to go to a trailer and wait for 6 hours between shots and get the same money and go home. And it's awesome, man. So, you know, like I said, if you can do a number of stuff, which thank God I can do, you can do a lot of stuff. You know, I played old women, I played little kids, I played, you know, you name it. It's like whatever, you know. So I'm really, you know, because let's face it, if I was an on-camera actor, I'd either play Jesus, a pirate, or a lion, and that's it. You know,
with hundreds of different characters,
or a rock star.
Find yourself getting kind of mixed up between them when you're in the studio.
That's a good question, man. That's a good question. You know, it's like no, because what I do get mixed up with, man, is like when people come up to me and they ask me to do a voice that I haven't done in like the last 6 months, I don't remember what it was. It's like unless I've heard it recently, so they got to go to YouTube and like play it for me and show it to me like that. But it's funny too, because in addition to the voice acting thing, I have this band called Rock Sugar that's like a mashup band. The joke of the band is that they were stuck on an island at the end of the 80s, and all they had to listen to for 20 years on the island was pop songs from the 80s, and they were a metal band. So when they got rescued, they thought that metal was pop and pop was metal. So the band will play like an AC/DC song, but I sing a Madonna song over the AC/DC song and make it fit. And that's a trip, because you're so used to hearing those songs the way they go that to remember to sing the other song is sometimes challenging. But what's nice is fans of the band now go, man, when I hear the original song, it sounds messed up because it's not the way you guys do it. And we went on to open up for bands like Aerosmith and AC/DC and stuff. We played the Download Festival here in the UK twice, But so it's just a matter of trying to keep things straight in your head, and so far so good. Although it'll probably happen eventually that I'll screw something up. Maybe today. It might be today. What else you got?
There's something very meta and some beautiful pop culture about that. I mean, I think obviously going back to Animaniacs, that was, I think, the reason that show became such a huge cult favorite for so many people, that kind of transgressive, kind of meta, fourth wall breaking quality. I'm curious how you think that element of the show is going to translate to 2020, how the show's going to
I think it's going to translate, honestly, man, and this is not, spin, it's not PR, it's not crap, it's honest. I think it's going to be better, because there's more stuff, there's so much more stuff to make fun of now. Think about it. Animaniacs at its heart was a satire. Really, it was a cartoon for kids, but it was a satire for adults. That's why it was so popular. And between the current president of the United States, God bless him, and the Kardashians, and the internet, and YouTubers, and social media, and all the stuff that didn't exist then, we have got so much stuff to make fun of, to use a polite word, that it's endless, man. So it's going to be, in my opinion, it has the potential to be even more subversive and funnier than it was, because things are more ridiculous now, and we are going to mess with it,
And how much of the original team is coming back into the voice talent and people behind the show?
I'm not supposed to announce anything about that yet, but let's just say you're going to be happy. How about we put it right, we leave it there. You're going to be happy. If you like the original show, you're going to be happy. As we like to say, we're getting the band back together, folks. So it's going to be good, man.
What inspired you? I mean, Wacko's voice is so unique.
Yeah.
What led you to create that kind of distinct accent?
It's a great question. Well, when I first auditioned for that show, it was the first big show I was a regular on. I had done guest shots on cartoons because I was just a singer. But when I did the audition for Wacko, I just did some crazy cartoony voice. And when I got the call back, the director, Andrea Romano, was having me throw out a bunch of different voices. And I do a lot of impressions. And she goes, why don't you try an impression? And I said, okay, like who? And she actually said Elvis. So Wacko was like, hello, nurse. This is Fabu, man. Come on. I mean, it was really weird. Can you imagine? I got a potty emergency. It was really weird. But then she said, why don't you do like the Beatles? And I said, which one? And she goes, well, don't they all sound the same? I go, no, that's like saying everybody from London sounds the same. It's, So I showed her the differences between the Beatles. And what we sort of did is we ended up with like John, and John's voice to me was always sort of sharp and through his nose kind of thing. And then we just raised it up and made it small, and that became Wacko. So that was that, So it's because I saw the picture. I'm like, well, he's a little dude, so he's got to be like a smaller voice. So there you go, And that's how it happened, man. So, but what was really cool about it is apparently when Steven Spielberg heard the auditions, he was listening to them, and they played him like 5. They had 5 finalists for each part, if you will, and I guess I was number 4 or something like that on the thing. And when he heard it, I started talking like this and doing like a Liverpool thing, and he goes, oh, that's really funny, let's do that, because nobody else did anything like it. And people to this day, they go, why is Wacko British? And I'm like, why not? His brother and sister are Americans, so it's a blended family, man. So that's how that happened, man.
So, as someone who's been in the industry for quite some time, is there any advice that you can give to other people who are looking to do voiceover work?
Oh yeah, man.
What would be the best advice you could give?
Well, that's a good question. You guys you ask good questions here in the UK, man. The best advice I can give people who want to do voiceover is not to talk yourself out of doing it, because it's very easy to make excuses and to go, oh my God, it's so competitive. Everybody's trying to do that. It's so hard to do it. It's so hard to. Anything worth having is worth working for. Okay, and if I broke into it, and Rob broke into it, and Jim Cummings, and all these other great James Arnold Taylor, everybody else, we broke into it. Why couldn't you break into it? I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous. Don't limit yourself. That's the first thing. The second thing would be to learn about it from somebody who's made a lot of money doing it, and there are several ways to do that without spending any money. There's websites like vobuzzweekly.com, which basically has long free lessons with all of us. There's iwannabeavoiceactor.com. There's Rob Paulson's Talkin' Tunes. There's all these resources that you have to check out. So if you don't check them out, then that's on you, man, because it's available and it's free. So do your homework, learn about it. Remember that voice acting is more acting than voices. It's much more about playing a character than it is doing a silly voice, although that's fun. But you got to be able to be, to act with that voice. You can't just be able to talk like that. So those are my bullet point advice for voice actors.
One other question I've got for you is, what's your process when you go into the booth and do that and put together
Getting paid. No, my process. You mean my process for creating a voice?
Yeah, so like someone says, I've got this character for you, go in there and show us what you can do.
Well, the first thing is you want to find out as much information about the character as you can. I love to see a picture. Pictures really help, man. Sometimes you think you're going to do one voice and then you see a picture and you go, oh, no, that voice isn't appropriate. I don't know why the way a person looks would dictate their voice, but it seems to help. And my own favorite thing is, since I do a lot of impressions, what I do is I'll say, is there a guy in a movie that you would love to have play this? Like, even if it's a combination, like if you tell me it's a cross between, Christopher Walken and Goofy, then I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like that's a weird hybrid, and you have something to work with, and you can start playing with it and mess with it that way. So I love references. That always helps me.
What would Christopher Walken Goofy sound
I
like?
knew you were going to do that, man. I knew he was going to do that. I knew he was going to do that. He'd be like, probably like, he'd be like, wow, yuck, 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 something like that. Wow, it's crazy. I'm goofy. It's nuts. Be like that. Well, yuck, yuck. He'd say yuck, yuck a lot. And garsh. Yeah, that's probably. I'm working on it. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when people are starting out perfecting the vocal side of the craft. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I do a lot of voice matching for a lot of actors when they're not available for movies and stuff. I go in and I pick up their dialogue for them, and Chris is a favorite. I love doing Chris because it's fun. The pronunciation, the stops in the words, it's great. So I love doing him, and it's fun to do like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I do his things sometimes. It's terrific to do it and fantastic. So I mean, whatever it is, I mean, it's like putting on hats, man. It's like having a lot of hats and picking the one you want to wear.
Is there anyone that you wish you could do but you just can't?
Pam Anderson in 2000.
I meant vocally.
No, man. I don't really spend too much time worrying about that. It's like there's so much stuff. God bless America. There's so much stuff that I can. God bless the UK. There's so much stuff that I can do that I don't really worry about the stuff that I can't do. And but I always do say, and this is another good piece of advice, just in any industry that you happen to find yourself in, it's like, if you want people to think you're Superman, just don't let them see your kryptonite. The reason everybody thinks that I can do everything is because I don't let them see the things I suck at. You know what I mean? It's like the stuff that I can't do, I'm not going to try to do it. Because then people go, oh, I thought he was really good, but that was really bad. So why would I show you? You know what I mean? Stick to your strengths. Play to your strengths.
You talk about getting instructions. What's the weirdest kind of, when you've been in the booth, the weirdest request someone's made of you?
Well, somebody once told me to do something an octave faster, which, if you know anything about music, makes absolutely no sense. That was what a good one. Another guy said, can you kind of speed it up but slow down the pace? Like, I'm like, kind of like, can you get an education? No, just kidding. No, I mean, you get all kinds of ridiculous stuff, but whatever they try to throw at you, I figure while I'm in there, unless they really get crazy and it gets ridiculous, I'm there to make them happy, man. So whatever they give me, I just try to interpret it and do it the best that I can.
I mean, I guess just on that note, I think particularly in recent years, there's been quite a lot of dialogue about the power structure within the industry as a whole, but particularly for voice acting, in terms of, like you say, when you're in the room, you pretty much have to, do what they say, and there's a lot of, times when they're pushing people's voices maybe farther than they should. I mean,
yeah, sure.
I guess, how do you feel about that side of the industry?
About them being like making you scream your head off and stuff?
Yeah, and I guess just like the power dynamic between voice acting specifically and then studios and production companies.
Man, usually they're cool. This is the only job in the world where I see the words blood-curdling scream every day of my life for the last 25 years. So it's amazing that By now, the only voice I should be able to do is this one. Oh my God, my voice is gone. Oh no. You know, it's like that's all I should be able to do at this point. But fortunately, it's not the case. But most of the time, they're pretty cool with it because think about it. In cartoons, you see stage direction that says, get dragged behind a truck, thrown off a building, bounce off the water, land on a rock, get swallowed by a whale, spit out, land on the beach. And you got to do all that with your voice. So, but for the most part, they're cool, and we have a lot of hot tea and honey and stuff like that, and we just try to get through it. But sometimes by the end of the day, you are pretty beat up, you know.
I'll let you go and get some hot tea now. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, guys. It was nice talking to you.
Name on the beat.